Again to you. This is our guest corner, and we are in for a talk show with the National Curriculum Development Center. We do have different gentlemen who have joined the set, and we're here to talk about the lower secondary new curriculum, its progress, the challenges that they're facing. As we all know, in February 2020, government rolled out the new lower secondary education curriculum, and of course this was with the aim of creating and meeting learners, the learners' needs, especially in regards to skills training and enhancing or enhancement in the education sector. In studios, I'm joined by two gentlemen. Next to me is Emirat Okumo John. He's the manager secondary development in the NCDC, and that is the National Curriculum Development Center. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And at the far end is Mr. Mulumba Motema Matthias. He's a curriculum specialist in National Curriculum Development Center, and of course, you're headquartered at Kyambogo.
Yes, you are most welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
In February 2022, government rolled out the new lower secondary curriculum. Can you just give us what was the aim for this? Why come up with such a curriculum?
Thank you so much for that question, and good afternoon, dear viewers. Yes, as we said, we come from the National Curriculum Development Center. Briefly, what do we do? The National Curriculum Development Center is a statutory institution under the Ministry of Education and Sports. We are semi-autonomous and established by Act of Parliament to develop or review curricula for pre-primary, for primary, for secondary, and some other tertiary institutions. We also develop curricular materials. We review those that are developed by the publishers. We also support the implementation of the curricula that has been developed by NCDC.
So you're to answer for the reason why we do have a lot of job seekers.
Well, that is a multifaceted impact, because it is a creation of so many players that create that.
Okay.
But I can now ask my colleague Matthias to give us a brief background of this curriculum, how it started and how we have progressed.
Thank you, manager, and thank you, our hosts. Viewers, you are most welcome to this show. The new lower secondary curriculum was a result of the society, the stakeholders having challenges with the people who are coming out of the secondary school education. So as National Curriculum Development Center, we went to the community and asked them, what is the challenge? And one of the biggest challenge was unemployment, lack of skills that the graduates were missing. So also we went to the schools. What was taking place in our schools? We discovered that there was a gap between what the society wants, what the Ugandan people want, and what is being taught in the school. So that one gave us an idea on how we can change the curriculum. The biggest challenge was that the people who are coming out of school were not doing what the community wants. They were not being employed, they didn't have the skills. And
they had the training.
They had got the training, but they did not have the skills that society, industry, or employers required. They could not, some of them, when you ask them to write an application for the job, they cannot do it. When you give them work to do, they don't have the know-how of doing it. So this one said that we have to change. It informed us. The teachers were using books that are outdated. That also now made us to think, which books do we need? So we packaged the different gaps into the new lower secondary curriculum. And in that, in 2019, we agreed that the syllabus, the teaching syllabus, should go to the schools. it had what to learn at school. What are those things that we have to learn to be able to solve the societal problems? It had the way we have to teach as teachers, how to deliver the skills that the people want to use when they leave school. It also had an element of how do we know that you have learned? And that one talks about how do we assess you? And finally, we made a preposition of how to share with the stakeholders what you have learned. And that is what we know as the report for the learner. So in 2020, the Honorable Minister and First Lady declared the new lower secondary curriculum and rolled it out after Parliament agreeing on it. And in January 2020, we oriented the teachers on how to teach, because they had been given training when they were preparing to teach on how to deliver. So for us, we oriented them and sensitized them on the new lower secondary curriculum. And that work was done, and the senior ones of 2020 were admitted to start the new lower secondary curriculum until when we got COVID in March and the schools were closed. So in 2022, when the schools were opened again after lockdown, we embarked on teaching the new lower secondary curriculum to prepare our graduates to have employable skills that are competitive in the market.
Okay, so you talked about you know, the background you've given out, how the curriculum, you know, was conceived, and then how you have translated this into the hands of the teachers, and of course there's a bit of assessment there. But now we used to have about 43 subjects, and I understand now you have reduced to 21 subjects. That dimension is quite diverse. Can you elaborate more on that?
Right, host. We had 43 subjects by 2006, the survey which was carried out by NCDC. And in 2009, the ministry, under the minister then, Honorable Bita Mazire, issued a circular to reduce the number of subjects that are taught at secondary school level to 14. That circular was preparing us for the big reform, for the big change. So when we looked at the subjects, we discovered that there was duplication. Okay. For instance, you could teach weathering in agriculture, you teach weathering in biology, you teach weathering in geography. This is the same content and going into the same head. So you are packing the same thing, confusing the learner from 3 different people. So we said that content should be put as one and then delivered. If you come to entrepreneurship and commerce and the agriculture and office practice, they were teaching things about accounts. So it should be put in one basket and we deliver it once in one learning subject. So that enabled us to reduce from 43 to 21.
Actually 22 with the additional Ugandan Sign Languages. Initially there were 21, but now there are 22 subjects. Okay,
so there's an increase there?
Yes.
Okay. So basically what I see is that you're making life easier for the learner.
And of course, out of the 22 subjects, a learner is supposed to take only 12 subjects at Senior 1 and Senior 2, and 8 subjects at Senior 3 and Senior 4. But of course, at the moment, there are some schools which are still forcing learners to do more than 12 subjects. Okay. We saw some reports, end of term reports of term 1. Some schools were secondary schools. Some schools were giving learners up to 19 subjects. 19 subjects. You know, this now defeats the exact intention of why we made the reform. Because it's not about studying how many subjects, but we need to have fewer subjects which a learner can grasp, can understand the concepts
And practical
therein
subjects,
and
yes.
practice what that learner has learned, not how many subjects the learner has learned.
So has there been enough awareness on this lower secondary new curriculum? Maybe some schools are not yet well versed with this.
Yes, as Matthias said, since 2020, we have been interacting with the community. We have been interacting with the teachers. We trained teachers in 2020, and even shortly during the COVID lockdown, we've been training teachers across all the regions. And we also trained all head teachers in this country, both from government and from private schools. We have trained district inspectors of schools, district education officers. Ideally, we have trained a number of stakeholders to understand what is required in the delivery of the new curriculum. But of course, as you know, some individuals are just stubborn. They are just adamant to accept this new change. And especially the private schools, for them, they are still stuck, you know, with the performance in terms of results. They want to see learners shining, getting maybe 80, 100%. That is what their interest is. But the new curriculum is mainly interested about a learner developing skills which can help that learner to be able to do something, to be productive in the society, and also to contribute to the national development of a country.
So now it looks like the major challenge right now you have is the implementation of the new curriculum. And we know you've done a bit of support. You've talked about training. You've given the teachers, the local government. You've involved almost each and every one. But I think there's also a need for a monitoring process. How many schools are really taking this into practice? Maybe you should also engage into that. That way, you will get the culprits. Because if another school is teaching on only about 21 subjects and the others are still stuck in, you know, the old, yes. How are we going to grade these people at the end of the day?
Thank you, host. It is true, we have trained many people, including the inspectors of schools. They have had training with us. And the inspector, because our job as a Minister of Education and Sports is like a relay. When the curriculum develops the materials, we have another agency, the Directorate of Educational Standards, that is supposed to monitor. And we take the teachers, the parents also to monitor when they have become aware, because the parents are very close. The head teacher is very close to the teachers and is the one who should be the leader of how to deliver the new lower secondary curriculum. So when we trained the head teachers, we became aware that they have got that we have to teach 12 subjects, senior 1 and 2, 11 of them compulsory, and 1 as an elective. So we expect the teachers to follow that. And then the inspectors could come to check and support that implementation. Like this opportunity you have offered us, we want to increase that awareness because as my manager has said, we cannot reach everybody, but through media, we can reach as many people. Through those we have interacted, we want to make them champions of the new lower secondary curriculum.
So now the issue is this: when you release the lower secondary new curriculum, the material is compiled by the National Curriculum Development Center, right?
Yes.
And you hand over this information or this model to schools specifically. Is there a specific fee? Probably this is what they are running away from. Are you charging for this, or it is free of charge? Is there a small fee they're supposed to engage in? Because the old model, they are comfortable with it. They've already paid for years. They're enjoying the money. And then now here comes a new lower secondary curriculum. And the challenge now, you have to invest.
There's no such heavy investments required for the implementation, because government of Uganda given CDC money to develop syllabuses, and these syllabuses were printed for all the subjects, and we distributed them to all the schools in the country free of charge, including government and private. So from there, NCDC also developed prototype books to kickstart the implementation of the new curriculum. And these books were also distributed to all the schools free of charge. And in addition to that, the Ministry of Education and Sports is now in charge of developing textbooks for the new curriculum, right from Senior 1 to Senior 4. And already the ministry has procured and distributed textbooks for Senior 1 and Senior 2, also to all the schools.
Free of charge.
Free of charge. And of course, in case there is any school that has not yet received these textbooks, can approach the Ministry of Education, the Department of IMU, that is Instructional Materials Unit, to get the supply of those textbooks. The ministry currently is in the process of procuring and distributing textbooks for Senior 3 and Senior 4, still free of charge. So there's no very big cost. Maybe the cost could be at school level, where, because one of the things we want to put emphasis on is practical training. Now, this practical training of learners involves buying certain scholastic materials, some resources which go into, for example, projects. I understand these days a number of parents are buying certain things for the learners to engage in projects. But these are costs which are necessary, costs which will enhance our learners to develop the required skills in the community.
But even those costs do not go to the school, they go to the parents.
Mainly they go to the parents.
Yeah, the education is it's becoming very expensive for us as parents, seriously.
Well, even before...
Whatever you impose on schools, they will impose on the parents.
My dear, before the introduction of this new curriculum, you had many parents crying about
notes.
The notes, the photocopying, crying about the school requirements, where some schools people were taking pickups of requirements. Still the cost was there. But now we are saying that learners can make, for example, learners are supposed to make their own notes. The government has provided textbooks. We know they are not enough, but gradually government is going to continue providing these textbooks to the schools. We have trained the teachers and we are going to continue supporting them. And by therefore the information of the public, in this month we are going to visit every secondary school to see what they are doing with the new curriculum, how they are implementing the new curriculum, and also to support them.
Every secondary school
every secondary school in the country.
That's a long
every
journey.
secondary school in the country.
That's a long
We
journey.
are going to visit every secondary
Are
school.
you employing officials who are going to help you?
We have a very big team of trainers we have been using. You need to be trained. You need to be trained first so that you understand what the new curriculum is. Because you might go to a school and the teachers know more than you do.
No, we plan on that. When we get to that bridge, we cross it.
Yes, but we have already trained those teachers. So we are continuously supporting the teachers so that we eventually reach the level where we want them to be.
Okay.
But again, what we also want to mention is that in the term, in the holiday, many parents received the reports which were very new and very unique. They are voluminous, they were very detailed, very descriptive, and a number of parents did not understand these reports. But
is that of your making?
Yes.
Okay.
These reports were developed, they were descriptive in a way that they inform the parent what the learner can do. The achievements of the learner in terms of performance of that learner in every subject. You remember the previous reports were just looking at, say, geography, 90%, mathematics, 20%, and the comment is very poor, I'll try elsewhere. But now we are looking at the ability of every learner in every subject. And so we want every point, and even outside the classroom, what can this learner do?
So let's say
in terms of
a learner has
communication,
got
in terms
45.
of values.
A
Yes.
learner has got 45 in mathematics.
Yes.
What would be the comment at the end? Would it be A for there's a comment that would qualify this learner probably for another?
Yeah, thank you very much. When we get a score from a subject, what we would like to know, what does this score mean in terms of doing? So if you have got a 9 out of 10,
Okay.
then we know you have mastered the competence. Like if I take a subject like you have studied about earth rotation in geography, then the teacher should tell us that you can plan a journey for your parent to Sydney in Australia. And how you did it, how you can plan. Or if you have studied biology and you have studied about insects, and you have got 8 out of 10, the teacher should tell us that you know how to manage the direct and indirect effects of insects to human beings, to the environment, and then you handle them carefully. You don't just find a caterpillar walking and you step on it, because it is also moving to look for food. So do you protect it? Then if you have gone into mathematics.
I can imagine protecting a caterpillar.
Yes. Then if you have done mathematics and you have studied matrices, for instance, can you now make us the table on the sports page to show the plays, the wins, the losses, and the draws, and the points that teams have got using matrices? So what can you do when you have studied a topic? If you have studied the integers in mathematics, can you manage your mobile money account? Because when you load your money on the mobile account, that is positive integers. If you remove, you withdraw some money, that is negative integers. But when you make your account 0, you are at the 0 point on the number line. So can you use that topic to do something that will benefit you as a person, benefit society, and you are able to do it to solve problems that you face.
So it's quite an in-depth, analysis.
Yeah, so that attitude, we would like to inform our parents that we have, the eyes of the white ants have changed.
Oh.
So we need to change the collecting point.
Collecting points.
So the collecting point now, when your learner, your child comes to you, you should ask the question, what can you do after interacting with the teachers? So the learner should demonstrate to you what he or she can do. And that is the focus. And that's the description we would like the teachers to make on the report.
Because it is very useless for a learner to pass very, very highly in terms of marks and scores when that learner cannot be able to do something. But the good news we are hearing now is that the learners of Senior 1 and Senior 2 are very different from the other learners of Senior 3, Senior 4 onwards. Because these are very proactive, they are very inquisitive, they are really very practical learners, both at school and at home. But of course, in terms of the reports, we cannot reach out to all the parents, and we have asked and we continue asking the head teachers and the schools, the teachers, because they receive the parents. They come on Parents' Day, on school, on Visitation Day. They should take the parents through to educate them or sensitize them on what is put in this report and what this report needs, or what does it present, what does it mean. If you have given a learner 2 or 3 or 4, what does that mean in terms of the achievement of this learner? So we appeal to the schools to ensure that they educate the public, educate the parents when they come to school, so that the parents can appreciate the new intervention about these reports.
I also think, I know you've used all avenues, but I also think maybe you're already doing it. You should also involve very much the social media, because that is where you can actually even open up a page to get feedback from people, from schools, from mothers, from fathers, from students. You should also be a little bit practical in the area of social media, because now let's say if you open up a discussion board on your Facebook Facebook page of NCDC and open up a topic. How is the new curriculum? How are you adopting to the new curriculum? Or what do you think about the new curriculum? You'll get feedback. People will say, what is the new curriculum? Which one now? That there, then you understand the levels of awareness that you have on ground. Yeah. But I think this is a beautiful thing. It's a new thing. I, for one, I'm proud that we no longer have 43 subjects. 21 is quite adaptable. You can read your notes and then make a bit of pointers, and when the exams come, you have something that is compressed. You're not having diverse, you know, it's like you're writing essays on, you know, in the exams, and you have about 7, you know, pages explaining. So for me, I'm bragging about this, and I think if we put more emphasis, especially in the area of implementation, we are going to head far. It's good that you've given us the information that for those who have not yet got access to the material and the information, they can approach the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education,
yes.
The Department of IMU,
yes.
Probably that in full. IMU is
Instructional Materials Unit.
Instructional Materials Unit. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm so blessed for this. Do you have any closing remarks in any way?
Yes. Thank you so much for that advice of using the social media. We are going to take it up very seriously.
And you can employ me on that
yes,
as well.
And dear viewers, we kindly appeal to you to continue embracing the new curriculum, especially our colleagues in the private schools, because it will be very embarrassing for you to be taking learners using the old curriculum. But remember, in 2024, UNEB is going to assess learners on the new curriculum. So I don't know what explanation the private schools and those other schools that are taking learners through the old curriculum, I don't know what explanation they'll be able to offer to this nation when they have deliberately killed the future and the career of our learners. So please embrace the new curriculum and also all the other requirements, because some of the requirements is that time after 2:55 to 5 p.m. is time for projects, for research, for curricular activities. Please provide that time for the learners to explore.
You've also demarcated time for the lessons and subjects.
Yes, the learner should explore. You know, learning is not only in the classroom. Learning is not only within the school. So learners should explore their talents. They should read further. They should do so many other things, engage in projects, and that was the time that is demarcated. And we appeal to the schools to leave that time for that purpose. We also appeal to them to allow learners to do their exploratory learning during the classroom. You know, some of the teachers go to school or to class and they still dictate notes like the old style. But we want to produce a learner who is a critical thinker, a learner who is innovative, a learner who is a problem solver. And this is a learner who must be involved and engaged practically in the learning and teaching process. Not a teacher coming just to provide information. The learners have a lot of information with them, sometimes even more than the teachers.
And they don't have anything to do with it.
So with this communication era, it's about sharing information. The purpose of the teacher is simply to facilitate, is simply to guide the learners, but not provide all the information. And also we want to appeal to the schools to avoid this over-assessment. Over-assessment, you know, beginning of term. A learner is just coming from holiday, has been doing many different things. You're giving a learner examination, you're assessing what? So beginning of term, mid-term, and end of term.
You can only assess after training.
Yes, after training. And in the training, we're emphasizing school-based assessment, where when you cover a topic, you assess it. When you cover a chapter or a competence, you assess it. Such that where you see a learner has not performed well, then you do remedial for that learner. And then you proceed with those learners that have done very well. So end of term, that over-assessment instead wastes a lot of time. You may find that in a term of, say, 12 weeks, if you do beginning of term, mid-term, and end of term, you have about 6 weeks for assessment and 6 weeks only for teaching. But what is important is the teaching, not the assessment.
The assessment.
Yes.
True.
So we kind of appeal to the schools to follow that program, and also to those that were trained, the teachers who were trained should endeavor to train the colleagues at school so that we bring everybody on board.
To you.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to appeal to the schools, the parents, that your learner in senior 1 and 2 should do 12 subjects.
12 only.
Including Kiswahili, including physical education, and including entrepreneurship and religious education, in addition to the known 7. 2, we would like to appeal to the parents and guardians to support the learners in acquiring skills that will enable them do something to earn a living. We appeal to them. So the child should tell us if I've learned about writing in English language. Can the learner write an article for a newspaper? If the learner has reached that level, then we are making them competent citizens who can compete in the job market. Also, finally, the materials that we are providing by government of Uganda that it has bought them from publishers. And the publishers, we are encouraging them to distribute the materials such that they reach everywhere. As government has put in money, and this money, we want it to serve the citizens. So we should deliver the materials to them, and then the teachers help us to deliver these materials into the hands of the learners, such that learning and acquiring of skills takes place. We are going to have 2 assessments. One assessment will be done by Directorate of Industrial Training, and learners will be certified in an occupation. And also we are going to have UNEB assessment in Senior 4, where learners also will be certified. So this is a dual curriculum where you can get 2 certificates. So encourage the learners to choose an occupation where they can be certified in Senior 3, and then they should complete the cycle in Senior 4 and get a UNEB certification. Thank you, host.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Okumu John Emarat, and then also thank you, Mr. Mulumba. They all the way come from the National Curriculum Development. Once again, just to caution you, let us embrace the new lower secondary curriculum. As we know, one of the objectives, actually the main objective, was to ease the learners' needs, especially in regards to skills training. So if we keep that in our mindset, then it's going to help us, because we're not helping anybody else but the learner, so that they can carry on their career life in a much better way. We don't just aim to roll out graduates. We want practical and active graduates into the job market. And of course, one thing I picked from the manager secondary lower curriculum level, that is in the Department of NCDC. One thing I picked was that 2024 UNEB will be assessing the exams based on the new curriculum. So you have now until 2024 to sort yourselves out. More awareness, I still cry, is needed, and we hope that if they engage also in the social media, we will have a diverse awareness into the market, and schools will be able to adhere and comply to the new curriculum. My name is Patricia Lokomampango. It has been a wonderful afternoon. Thank you so much for keeping it with us. Good afternoon to you.
Thank you, Patricia.